In this lesson, we're going to be going over these key terms. So if you want to take a screenshot, go ahead. You should know them by the end. This lesson's also going to kind of go past 8.1 where we talk about energy and move into talking a little bit more about how that energy is used by introducing photosynthesis. Okay, so we got to start out by talking about energy, right? Chemical energy and ATP. All right, so the definition of energy is the ability to do work. Okay, and we can have all different types of energy, which allow us to do all different types of work, right? We can have electrical energy. Right now, my computer is plugged into an outlet running off that electricity running through, right? Lightning coming down from the sky has electricity, electric energy. We could have heat energy, okay? Fire, heat lamps, most things give off heat. You give off heat when you go exercising, your car gives off heat when you drive in the morning, right? Heat is a form of energy. That's why we can do things like use it to boil water. Okay, so we have heat energy. We can have chemical energy, right? This battery here has a positive and negative side, which is controlled by different chemicals. Right, without getting into batteries too much, there's different chemicals on each side of this battery that are going to be used, right, to have some sort of chemical energy, which will then create electricity. We could also have food energy, okay? And food energy, like this beautiful Subway sandwich here, is really how most animals and lots of organisms get energy, okay? Food can be used to be eaten and then broken down and converted into other types of energy. And it's really food energy that we're going to be focusing on in this lesson because food really forms the basis for all life, okay? Whether you're an animal or a plant, you're going to be using food as a source of energy to do daily activities, okay? And the reason energy is so important is just for that reason, right? It allows cells, either unicellular or multicellular organisms, to do all their daily activities. Right, so energy, especially food energy, is super important for these reasons, but we need to figure that, right, either when plants or animals, when they're going to use this food energy to power things like protein pumps and active transport in their cells or moving, right, on a cellular level, we don't have little tiny bits of pieces of Subway sandwich that go into a cell and power all these little cellular activities, okay? So food does not directly, right, power cells. It does not directly go into the cells. And to do this, we need a type of useful chemical energy, right? Chemical energy is used for cells. And the basic chemical molecule that does this is called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP for short, which we'll refer to. Okay? ATP is the energy molecule for cells that is used for everyday reactions in a cell. Okay? It has three parts. It's made up of an adenine, a ribose, which is a sugar, and three phosphate groups, right? This is where the term tri comes from. So adenosine triphosphate is the chemical that cells use for energy for all the reactions that are going on in a cell. All right, and if you remember back to our chemistry chapter when we talk about creating chemical bonds, we remember that in order to release energy, we need to break bonds, all right? And the way ATP works is that when it is going to, say, power a protein pump, right? It was created by food, and now it's going to go and power a protein pump. What it's actually going to do is break this bond here, right, between the second and third phosphate, okay, element phosphate group, right? And what it's going to do is break that bond, right? And when we break a bond, we release energy. All right, we release energy, which is going to be used to power all the stuff in a cell. Okay, it's going to power that protein pump. It's going to power a flagella for a cell to move around. Right, that energy that comes out of the bond. Think about it, same thing as when you are igniting a fire, right? You're changing the chemicals of that fire, and that heat is boiling the water. Okay, so the way we release energy in ATP is by breaking that third phosphate bond. All right, and logically, when we break that phosphate, we only have two phosphates instead of three. And that brings us to our next molecule, which is ADP, right? Adenosine diphosphate. Again, same exact molecule, except that there's only two phosphates instead of one. All right, so ADP is the unenergized, right, or no energy form of ATP, right? So unenergized, whereas ATP, as you could say here, is super energized, right? And we can think about this like a rechargeable battery and a flashlight. In ADP, right, it's like when a battery's dead. Okay, there's not a lot of energy left in here because there's only two phosphates. A very dull flashlight. However, when we add that third phosphate group, it's like a fully charged battery, right? Really bright flashlight. And that's because when there's three phosphates, we have all this energy in our energy molecule ATP. And again, to release this energy, all we have to do is break the bond with that third phosphate, and all this energy comes out. All right, so ATP is most useful as giving energy to power cell activities, like we said. It can be used to store energy, but it's really for only short amounts of time. Again, we have ATP, three Ps, we release energy, and we have ADP, and this extra phosphate, right? No more energy, okay? So ATP can be used to store energy, but not for long periods of time. So when organisms like plants or animals like us need to store energy, we're not going to store it with thousands and thousands of ATP molecules. We have other things that can store a lot more energy. It's not that efficient for long-term storage. For example, a glucose molecule can hold 90 times more energy than one ATP, right? So if we were to have one glucose, which is, again, a sugar or carbohydrate, right, it could have the same amount of energy as 90 of these. So we talked quite a bit about energy and then start photosynthesis, right? We didn't actually get into how it happens, but we set the stage. We talked about chloroplasts, chlorophyll, and the different parts of those chloroplasts that are going to help us in photosynthesis. And we talked all about energy, right? The ATP molecule, how it releases a phosphate to release energy and it's turned into ADP. Okay, quite a bit of stuff. Go back, review it. If you have questions, shoot me an email, tweet me. And other than that, kids, hope you have a great day. See you tomorrow in class. Peace out.